Howdy, folks. I'm Pugnacious Petunia, perpetually petitioning, perjuring pandas.
I'm Amber.
And here are more perjuring pandas for us to petition against. Why are we, Amber? What does this make any sense at all?
I mean, maybe they are like trampling on the petunias or something. They're kind of big, and so.
So the pandas are constantly lying about trampling the petunias, is kind of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, there you have it. You heard it here first. And if you're new to this show, this is a show where Amber and I talk about the advent of the hot air balloon for the next 20 minutes.
No.
So let's get started.
Maybe Brian's actually a perjuring panda.
All right, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Asking My Girlfriend to Pay $25 per trip to work each day, totaling $50 a day, when we work at the same place and she lives a block away from me? Yes. Before we started dating, she used to take the bus, which cost about $3 per trip. Since we work at the same place and we live close to each other, it made sense for us to drive together. She doesn't own a car, so I drove both of us, as well as my parents. Recently, she told me that she won't drive with me anymore because it's too expensive for her. I try to explain the conveniences, like being able to wake up later and getting home within a half hour. Her commute with a public transport takes about 2 hours per trip, time that she could be using for more productive things. Plus, she's contributing to the wear and tear on the car. I also pay for other expenses, and life is expensive right now. My parents cover half of the cost because I live with them, and it's not fair to make them pay separately. I don't understand why she is upset and arguing with me. I don't think that it's a lot of money for her to pay. Also, the reason that I asked for this amount is that it would roughly match the cost of an Uber for the same 30-minute trip. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, I think OP's a major jerk here. Now, I can understand wanting some compensation for gas, but this whole, like, treating her like she's getting an Uber ride, like, I'm not surprised that she wants to go back to taking the bus because this is exploitation.
Yeah, I feel like OP is kind of missing the point of a relationship. And I guess his parents also say that charging her $25 per trip is fair, which I think is very bizarre here.
Mm-hmm.
I understand, like Amber said, wanting wear and tear and gas money and stuff like that, but these should come at cost. And while OP's like, well, life is expensive right now, you think it's expensive for your girlfriend too?
Well, that's the thing is, like, someone in the comments did out the math, and if she were to pay the whole year, this would be like $12,500.
Yeah. So he's getting that much money from his parents. He's also getting that much money from his girlfriend. Is he like riding? Is this like a luxury car? Is this like the best car ever? The best ride? I don't know. I would be hard pressed to pay $25 per trip unless I like had to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he certainly owns the car and he can make the cost whatever he wants it. But what I'm really concerned about is in relationships there tends to be not this whole you tend to learn how to share resources
Mm-hmm.
and distribute them equally and evenly between partners, right? Fairly. Maybe
Right.
not equally or evenly, but fairly between partners. And this doesn't seem like a very fair distribution.
No, it seems like it's all me, me, me. And if you read his comments, he's like, well, what about the wear and tear on my car? What about this? What about that? And it's like, dude, she lives a block away from you. Like, I'm sure that's not, like, adding that much more wear and tear since you're already driving there.
Yeah, it's like a new used car every single year worth of amount of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know used cars cost a lot of money, but surely he's not putting that much wear and tear on the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
$10,000 worth of wear and tear. Sure, there are taxes and inspections and all those kinds of other things, right? Gas, but I don't know if it amounts to $20,000 per year. So I think that OP is overcharging, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, hang on to your seats. Our next letter is an update. Update, am I the jerk for not telling my parents that the event that they were missing was my wedding? Folks, this is a long update. Strap in, I guess, is all I can say here. First of all, I want to thank all of those who were interested in my story, and those who wished me and my husband a happy life. I am beyond grateful for your reassuring messages. And your love and feedback. The response was overwhelming and beyond what I ever thought it would be. I love you all so much. To those who believe my story was fake, I want to say that I'm happy your family life is better than mine, to the point of thinking that my reality is a fantasy. But I'd appreciate it if you would stop harassing me in DMs, claiming that I'm writing a fake story for attention. If I've missed a few details in the original post, it's because I was overwhelmed and crying my eyes out because of my family's harassment. You are not forced to read my story or think that it's true, but I think that keeping the smallest amount of decency would be nice. Oh, and before diving into the update, let me clarify a few things. 1. Yes, the invitation specifically stated that it was a wedding. No excuses. 2. My maternal side of the family didn't come to the wedding. I'm sorry, I didn't make that clear in the original post. Most of them were busy. The others just gave me excuses and sent me a gift but did not come. That's it. Don't ask me why they didn't discuss my wedding with my mom. It's not like I live in their brain. 3. My mother's atonement is the fact that she apologized via text. Now onto the update. Things have been a little crazy this past week. I got off of Reddit for a couple of days to gather my thoughts. Then I had a lengthy conversation with Lucas about how to proceed. He's been my rock, and I don't think that I could ever love him more than I already do. My parents were always a taboo topic, but he hit me with a brutal reality check that I absolutely needed. We reached the conclusion that the fact that I keep in contact with them all this time and stuck around and couldn't go no contact isn't healthy. I've realized that the reason that I never went fully contact was that deep down I just wanted their approval, even now, for once. Pathetic, I know, but it's like a drug. Being with my parents, they can be loving and funny and caring and warm until they're not. The little love they give makes you crave for more, and you want approval so badly that you destroy yourself. But that's enough. I promised myself that things are going to change. I've thought about it, and I've decided to start therapy and go no contact with all of those who made an issue at the situation for good this time. After the days dedicated on reflecting how I feel, I ended up messaging my father to tell him that if he wanted to talk, I would meet him, Mom, and Mike in a neutral location the following day. He immediately replied and agreed, and we met at a park. My father's sisters and brothers accompanied us for damage control. My father looked distraught, as if he had been crying for a while. My mom looked the same, but I think it's more out of anger and embarrassment. My brother looked annoyed. I told the three of them about how their behavior and preference in regards to my brother always hurt me, and their abusive behavior towards me made me realize that I didn't want contact with any of them again after that meeting. My mom tried to cut me off multiple times, but my aunt, the one who posted on Facebook, shut her up every single time. When they asked me why they would treat me this way, they didn't know what to say. My father kept crying and apologizing without giving me an answer, and my uncle reprimanded him for it. My mother seemed as if she was asking herself for the first time, but, well, in the end, she just said that she simply disliked me, plain and simple. And my brother, he just liked the attention and making me miserable as some kind of sport. I went on with all my questions. When I asked why they never responded to my invite, they claimed that they never received one. I showed them the text, but they denied receiving them as well. And it turns out that they hadn't, in fact, received my wedding invitation. When it arrived at their house, they weren't there. The only one in my house was my brother, who had come visiting for the weekend. He saw the invite, and as many of you guessed, ripped it up and trashed it. And then, when I texted my parents, he deleted the messages. Wasn't hard to do, according to him. They kept my chat archived and didn't get a notification. So my parents never actually got a formal invitation. I was distraught. I asked Mikey why he would do that, and he just shrugged and claimed that it wasn't as important as the stuff that they had planned anyways. I had to stop Lucas from punching him in the face. Strangely enough, my parents were upset and started reprimanding him. He actually began to throw a temper tantrum and crocodile tears, and I must admit that I was kind of satisfied. But then my mom claimed that it was all resolved and that there was no need to fuss over a misunderstanding, and that it was time for me to clear their name. That set me off. I interrupted her, telling her that they weren't forgiven at all. That just because Mike trashed their invite doesn't mean that it automatically cancels out all their neglect. Plus, all that time, it was still very obvious that I was having a wedding, and they should have asked about it. You want to know what my mother's response was? She said something along the lines of, I did hear you talking about a wedding, but I just thought you were being delusional and seeking my attention with exaggerated scenarios. She was convinced that Lucas didn't actually like me, nor wanted to even marry me. When I tell you that I was about to trash her face, do you believe me? And another thing came up. It turns out that my brother didn't actually have a football game to attend at all. My parents used the fact that my husband's friends and I know little to nothing about football, we prefer soccer, and the fact that I stopped asking about it when Mike would mock me during his time in high school to make up a story to avoid my event. At the time I wrote the original post, I couldn't confirm or deny the presence of a game because my brother has a private social media and Lucas and I are blocked. And I foolishly trusted my parents' word, but no, you want to know where they went with the man-child? They went to Disneyland because Mike wanted to go. They used the football story to cover for my brother's 100th tantrum holiday, and apparently they did it multiple times in the past months. At that point, I just completely burnt out and overwhelmed by the information, the fact that I had already been fooled this badly, that I was so gullible, and it genuinely made my blood boil, and I snapped. I stood up and I told my father that he was a sad, weak man, unable to stand up for his kids unless his wife approved of it. I told my brother that he was a little bad person and a poor excuse for a man that will not accomplish anything in his life, and that he will always live like the leech that he is, babied to the point of uselessness. And to my mom, I just told her that she was the worst narcissistic, pathetic little woman on earth and that she didn't deserve to be addressed and judged for her irrelevance. That not even God could help her out because she is just too rotten. Harsh, I know. My mother shot up from her seat to scream at me halfway through my rant to her, but I was just too mad. I shouted at her to be quiet and to sit down and listen for once. She got so mad I felt like steam was coming out of her ears. I don't remember much after that. I just kept talking and talking. It felt as if all of my anger and hurt just flooded out. At one point, I'm pretty sure the whole park was just silent. I spat at my parents and Mike that I was disowning all of them, and if they're smart, they'll think twice before reaching out again. I took my purse and I left with Lucas and Francis, leaving my parents and brother at my aunt's and uncle's mercy. I think that at some point, the reality of what I had just learned and said finally hit me, because I ended up having a panic attack on the way home. Lucas was driving, so Anne helped me through it until we stopped in a parking lot for me to calm down. I am just beyond grateful for their help. Once home, I just fell on the bed and I went to sleep. I really wanted to go with your guys' advice and post the whole thread on Facebook, but given my work and career, I couldn't expose myself like that. One thing is sharing my story with an anonymous throwaway on Reddit, the other is on Facebook with my name and face plastered everywhere. I couldn't go down that path. Instead, I did something better. I made a folder with all of my mother's insults, messages, and awful comments, and I sent it to the women in charge of my mom's church. It's a tight-knit community, and my mom worked her butt off to enter it. But it's also extremely judgmental, and being shunned by them is a death sentence. And well, that's exactly what happened. Just like clockwork, the scandal spread like wildfire, going out of the church and reaching the rest of the small town. You can imagine what this means for my mother and father. Because of my little spill, I did find other messages from my maternal side of the family, belittling me even more for upsetting their sister or daughter and insulting her. I just didn't care anymore at that point. So I followed your guys' advice and told them that from now on they will no longer be part of my life and that they can talk garbage all they want, but I just won't care. Instead, they should be grateful that I don't send their nasty texts to their employers and spouses. I blocked every single one of them, grandparents included, on everything. I did find a lengthy message from my father. He apologized for not being strong enough to face my mother, agreed with what I said and said it was true, and couldn't believe that he had lost so much of my life because of her. He told me that he is going to divorce my mother no matter what my decision will be because he's tired of being controlled. He would like a relationship with me to make up for all the years that have passed. I did reply to him to tell him that as of now I really don't want to see or forgive him. He replied that he'll try his best to win me back and that he loves me. I replied back that as of now I find that hard to believe, and then I blocked him too. Frankly, his slimy way of trying to have an out from the situation by throwing my mother under the bus is pathetic. At least she was hateful and owned up to it. He's only able to blame others for his choices. I don't want to surround myself with people like that. My mother and brother are blocked similarly to my maternal side. Mike wrote other messages to taunt and insult me, but I just blocked him. My mom threw herself a pity party for being shunned by her community and for her marriage going into shambles, and I just replied good riddance before blocking her too. And as for my grandpa, he has decided to stay with us for a while to stick by my side. He's really the best and has read some of your comments. He isn't going to admit that he's flattered by them. Since then, a few days have passed and all has been quiet. Lucas is spoiling me rotten and I'm starting therapy soon. I know that this isn't the drama-filled, revengeful update that you had hoped for, but, well, this is it. I'll let you know if anything changes or evolves. Thank you all so much for your love and support that you showed me, and I think I'm going to log out for now. As for now, goodbye. Alright folks, what do you think of that update?
I mean, I'm glad that OP has supportive people on her side. It's unfortunately that her immediate family turned out to be such garbage people, but at least she has closure now and can hopefully move on and live her best life.
Well, and I mean, I think that maybe sending that off to the church wasn't necessarily the best thing. I know that OP's like, oh, this isn't like a revenge-filled spite, but it feels very revengeful anyways with some of that in there. But I don't know, maybe she was completely justified with sending that to the church. What do you think?
I mean, I think she was justified. You know, if her mom is misrepresenting herself as like this good Christian lady and she's, hates her daughter for no reason and has, spent her life diminishing her and acting like she's worth nothing.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, it is who she is, right? And if the truth makes you look bad, then you probably are bad, as I've said before, right? I think that this is a tragic situation. I feel so bad for OP. I really hope her nothing but the best in healing in the future. And hopefully getting these toxic people out of her life will be the first step to being happy and not having to constantly feel like she is living in the shadow of her brother. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has another jovial bobside musing.
Your 3 new summer allergies will be ice cream, swimming pool water, and fresh air.
You know, that would be pretty bad if that happened to you. Fresh air? Have an allergy to fresh air? A lot of people do. I mean, I guess like hay fever and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily think that jovial bobside is too far off the mark here. I mean, some people do have all of those types of things. And I have Earl Grey. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy spectacular Saturday, folks. Holy cow, can you believe it? We're in the weekend. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it in the form of a jingle.
I don't know if I can really do it as a jingle, but like, we'll just have it rhyme.
Alright, go for it.
If you're like Mr. Krabs and all you want is money, 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 then maybe you're not ready for a relationship with your honey.
If you're like Mr. Krabs and you like money, money, then maybe you're not ready for that honey, honey. I don't know if that's what you said, but it's close enough. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!